so you have that set up, and so the whole trajectory is of this hope and of um, this image of a god and the wizard that will fix things.
Hmm.
Um, and then that god dies, functionally for her. It's exposed as a sham.
Welcome to the Wicked Truth Podcast's Third Things First. I'm Suzanne Ross, your host for conversations with peace builders who have learned through long experience how to free communities caught in conflict for something better. Today, we're picking up where we left off with my conversation with Dr. Brian Ammons. Last time, we discussed Wicked through Brian's lens as both a queer theorist and a vocational minister. In this segment, we go even deeper and explore the Grimmerie as a sacred text of Oz and what religious leaders and communities can learn about ourselves from Elphaba's journey. I hope you'll enjoy part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Brian Ammons.
And that happens right before Defying Gravity.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Let's
so I
talk
was going to
about.
say you'll be better at summarizing some of that scene of what happens that then, uh, and it all becomes clear sort of right as at that point she has, um, made it to the Emerald City, and that she gets this opportunity to engage with their community's book of wisdom, the ancient stories and the ancient wisdom of the story of their community, right?
Yes. Yes, and of
Um,
course, she finds out that her teacher, Madame Morrible, who'd been encouraging her to develop her gifts and her powers, so she could be with the wizard. She finds out that they're just wanting to use her for their own purposes. And so
that's right.
when they see that she can read, the Grimmerie is this book of ancient wisdom that neither the wizard nor Morrible can read. Elphaba, what's powerful, Brian, which you showed me, and I don't know how I missed it, but the Grimmerie opens itself and calls her to it and highlights. You can see the Grimmerie showing her how to read it. It just gives me chills now that you point. So let's talk about that moment.
It's interesting, and I don't come out of a charismatic tradition. My husband does. So like but she's literally speaking in tongues. Um, she's speaking in an ancient language that she doesn't even understand, that has deep power, right? That's not my religious tradition, but this idea of um, she's tapping into something that is ancient and forgotten, and that the people around her are desperately trying to control. And so she's encountering this person that she thought was God, but turns out is someone who's just really good at manipulating community and power.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you know, his great ally, her teacher, who sort of understands a little bit maybe of some of the Grimmerie, is considered to be an expert in it, though she can't even fully read it or understand it, and she admits that. So they're so excited about her having access to this, what is portrayed as a deep spiritual gift. But then they want to quickly contain it and use it, manipulate the world through her gifts. And that's what she really comes to resist.
Hmm.
So that sets up Defying Gravity in a way that I think uh, largely gets missed. And I will name, when I saw it on stage, uh, part of the gift of the films is that it slows things down, so that moment felt more poignant to me because they dwelled in it a little bit longer, um, and just because of the way that it was sort of animated and the portrayal of it.
Right.
Um, and it was kind of this light bulb of clicking in of she is not going out on her own in a way that is a here's me over against the world. She has encountered a deep and profound truth that spans through generations, um, that she is leaning into. So when she sings Defying Gravity, which is yes, I'm rejecting the realities of this moment that are being put onto me, or I'm rejecting in some ways, like you could say, I'm embracing the realities of this moment. I'm rejecting the systems
Yeah.
that are being put on to try and control this wisdom and truth, this power. Um,
Mhm.
that she is also saying, and I am claiming my place within this tradition and claiming the gift of what it is that I bring, that I can see, and that my otherness may even be part of why I can see it. The thing that
Mhm.
you, the thing that has been painful for me in my life, this place of feeling out as an outsider, may be part of the same thing that ties uh, me into this capacity to be able to see something that you can't see.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
not a I'm going it alone. It's I am going it as a bearer of a truth that is bigger than what you are letting yourself know.
Right.
Which totally changes the scene because it's kind of typically read as a, kind of an I did it my way sort of hyper individualistic defiance, but it is a defiance that is grounded in a a deeper truth
Mhm. Mhm.
that having seen it, she can't ignore it. And it's a
Yeah.
truth that had a community around it at one point.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's something, you made me aware of was that the Grimmerie is like a vocational call to her. It's like a call from a community
Yes.
to be part of that shared wisdom. And so it's a beautiful you as a vocational counselor, it saw that in a way I didn't see it.
Well, but part of the reason that I do work on vocation is because it's my own vocation has been contested, right? It's complicated, it's confusing, and I have lots of ideas and thoughts about the way that we leverage the rhetoric of vocation. Um, but it also, I mean, much of it, I admit, of Elphaba's journey mirrors things, it mirrors themes of my own, right? Of the sense of I so want to belong in this space. I know I'm a little different. Oh, okay, I can get a provisional belonging, and then my provisional belonging may even rest to some degree into which I am seen as exceptional. Okay, fine. So I can do that and I can get into that space. And then, oh, wait, but you want me to give up the thing that it is that makes me different as I'm trying to seek wholeness. All of that journey, those themes are deeply resonant. But also this place of going like, oh, wait, you're not the authority for me to speak to my community and out of my sense of vocation and identity and call isn't going to come from the institutional powers.
Right.
And in fact, may either be rejected by or manipulated by institutional power. So I mean, all of that, part of the reason that I saw it is because that's my story, right? We all, you can't separate the reader from the reading on some level, but I don't think I'm reading into it. I mean, I think it's right there in the text of
Yeah.
the film.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a stretch to read it in this way. It's not even reading it against the grain. I think it's pretty explicit, but it kind of just feels like uh, my own lived experience drew me to pay attention to and
Yeah.
emphasize that part of it
Mhm. Mhm.
because I am deeply distrusting of the sort of hyper individualized narratives. And I think Elphaba is deeply embedded in her community.
Yes.
Part of the cost of knowing that she will be outcast, um, of going ahead and accepting and claiming that space, is, I mean, that makes no sense without it also existing as that she cares deeply about her community.
Yes. Yes. She does, and it's it has been read, I think, and is continued to being read as an anthem of resistance against powers that are manipulative or trying to silence and keep some stories out of the narrative of who we
Right.
are. And so that, oh, it's just, I it keeps thinking that, I waited a long time for these movies to come out because I have a book about the show, but not many people can see the show. And I was like, when are the movies going to come out? And it finally came out, and I realized that it might have been the right moment for the movies to come out.
Right. Yeah, right, sure. Um, and I think, you noted, as we talked about before, that, because I mean, Idina Menzel, who, I've only seen video clips of her performance. I didn't get to see her do that role, and I certainly have heard, heard it from the soundtrack. She shaped that role so much, and I think she did bring her own experience. I mean, the juxtaposition of Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel were playing on these sort of tropes of um, uh, uh, sort of U.S. American femininities of and Chenoweth playing it as sort of white Christian Southern belle, which is also who she is, right? And
Yeah.
sort of juxtaposed against sort of Idina Menzel's kind of worldliness and her
Mm.
Jewishness and her experience of sort of um, I think a Jewish American experience around that idea of a contested whiteness, even the
Right.
sort of where do I fit in the structure of that culture that I think is a part of that navigation. I think so. I think it's there. It was there in those original performances. When you get it to the casting for the film, with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, then it's taking those similar themes, it's pushing them further, and it's actually bringing them into a context that I think very much is speaking to a current cultural moment. And there's some really powerful things. I don't know if you remember the controversy about the uh, when the poster came out, that there were these AI reframing of the Wicked poster to make it look more like the original Broadway poster, and it erased her eyes when it
Oh,
did it.
no.
And Cynthia Erivo like pushed back. I mean, she was furious that it took her eyes out of that image. Because in the original poster you can't see Elphaba's eyes. In the
Right.
film poster you can. And her looking straight at you, that kind of claiming this space of power and looking you in the eye, was really important to her. Um, so I don't know if she was involved in the actual design of that poster, but as folks were adapting it and adjusting it and
Mhm.
erasing that part, that she was like, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to take my gaze. Um, um, so I think there's something about, she has been outspoken, and she's a political voice, and she also is an artist and says, like, I own this from within my own. I know what it is that I do, but that art matters and
Yes.
representation matters, and my
Ye
body in this role matters.
yes. Yes, I know. It's wonderful to hear her giving voice to all of that, and you pointed out to me that she, played, in the role of Jesus Christ Superstar. She was Jesus, and
Yeah,
you
and that
sent me
happened
some
since our conversation
pictures.
in Rome, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that talk about, the importance of the body that's embodying, um, the role. It just, I have a friend who is a Jewish scholar, and she's regendering the Hebrew Bible to take out all male references to God and switch them to female. And it changes. It's shocking what the different meaning is brought out by doing that.
Well, and part of what's really fascinating, I mean, there was a huge blowback on Cynthia Erivo being cast in that role, right? So, to have a woman in that role, she wasn't the first woman to play that role, by the way. There's several women that have done it. Amy Ray from the Indigo Girls did it with a cast in Atlanta. There was a recording. I don't know if there was a live performance. I think it might have been Shoshana Bean played it. I don't. But there was a group of other Broadway women
Mm,
that did an all women's cast version of the show. But it's I think for Cynthia Erivo. So first off, the piece that it's a woman, but I think even more and more significantly that it's a black woman. This
mhm.
idea of how um, how offended people were at the idea that Jesus could be portrayed as a black woman, or a
Yeah,
black woman could portray Jesus, that
right.
the that Christ could be embodied in a black woman's body,
Yeah.
um, uh, is I mean, certainly they knew that it was political, that it would be political, that in this cultural climate it would be political.
Sure.
And so on one level, when I've heard her interviewed on it, she's like completely acknowledges that, and then on another level like really challenges. It's like, look, it's a role, I'm playing a role. It's a um
Yeah. Yes. Why
and
is
she
it
also
so
though has
hard?
claimed, and it's the first time that I heard her speak about her own Catholicism,
Mhm.
but that she is wrestling with this as a person who for whom this Jesus story, and particularly the Jesus story that gets depicted I think in that musical, different musical, uh, you know, that really focuses on his last days on Earth, um, leading up to the crucifixion, is a story that putting her body into that context really brings into light the reality of this violence and this
Yes,
and systemic violence and personal violence and what it means to try and grapple with uh, I mean, really powerfully, and I think I shared it's the clip I shared with you, the Gethsemane scene, which is
yeah.
really the crux of that show, as far as I'm concerned, is about wrestling with God and sort of like, I didn't start this. I've been good, I've been willing, I've played along, and
And look,
um, and where do we have to go from here? Really, this is where we're going to go.
right?
Um, but even
Yeah.
more than that, the scene that follows immediately after that is the whipping scene.
Yeah.
And on the staging of that version at the Hollywood Bowl, um, her arms are fully extended in shackles, being held on the other end of chains by two rather looming um, white-bodied men.
Yeah.
Um, and so you see this tiny, incredibly powerful, fierce figure. Um, I mean, there's no way to read that without reading the history of enslavement
Yes.
of anti-black
Yeah.
racism. So, and also it gets queered. I mean, they cast Mary Magdalene as a woman. So the
Yes.
I don't know how to love him is seen as this, and which is already challenging people um because people freak out about eroticism around Jesus, but so that's in there as well. So her showing up in that way, to me, in some ways, just sort of underscored how I read her as Elphaba.
What you're making me realize very much is why some of these s- experiences and stories are not allowed into the conversation is because of what you said at the beginning. We've created identities a lot of times over and against. And if you can't be against the thing anymore, if all of a sudden they become human, and real and as suffering and imperfect as you are, what happens to your identity? And so I think the reason I love Wicked and why we're going to have to link to those Jesus Christ Superstar clips as well, but why I love what works of art do is bring that into the open. It's like, why can't we have this perspective as part of who we are as a community? Without, falling apart. How do we create identities that are with rather than against? And so I just wanna thank you, Ryan, for what
No,
you
I'm so
did
grateful.
for me.
Thank you for being a part of this with me. And I, as you know, I openly wept when we got to Defying Gravity. In that film, it landed on me.
Yeah.
differently than it ever has, despite having known that song for years. So partly because she's amazing and her voice is amazing, but partly because of the context that I was seeing unfold around.
Yeah. No, thank you again. And I wanna close with a question that I like to ask all our guests um, about when we kind of lose hope for that things can get better, that our future can turn out okay. When that happens to me, I lose joy. I get very grumpy and sullen and grr. So, but what I just to reconnect with hope, sometimes it's good to reconnect with joy. And so I want to ask you, where have you found joy recently?
Where have I found joy recently? Hmm. Well, I've just started in this job, so I mean, the connections that I'm um, making and meeting new people here. But I also don't drive much when I'm over in Northern Ireland, so um, and as a Southerner, public transportation has not been a huge part of my life. So, when I get ridiculously excited about catching the train to go to work. I feel somehow very sophisticated and cosmopolitan. Um, but even more than that, I know I know this city differently because of the ways that I am walking it.
Mm,
I find such joy and that I know the faces of the people that work in the shops that I pass. Um,
mhm.
and it's such a different way of being than I think I have experienced in quite some time when I'm driving past places in a car. So there is
Right.
something about that. My commute into and back home from work, um, the walk to the station, the people that I see on the station, the conductors that now like that at least know I don't know their names, but I know their faces. We say hi to each other,
Oh,
and that I pass a whole lot of bakeries, which also brings me a lot of joy. I'm sorry, I know you're good. You don't get the joys of all the gluten. There is one of them that is also has a pretty good gluten-free section, it appears.
yes.
Um,
Unfortunately, there are. I get joy from that. So,
yes,
oh, thanks. Yeah, slow down and see what's around you. It's
yeah.
a good way to connect with joy. So,
It just keeps me in a place of being curious, and I'm loving getting to be curious, right?
I love that. Well, thank you again, Brian.
Yeah,
It
thank
was a
you.
real
It's good to be with
joy.
you. Really good to see you.
Joy. We're going to post your bio and links and just let's just say out loud if people want to follow you or keep track of what you're doing, what's the best place
Yeah, so
to
the best
find
place to
you?
follow the work that I do with Gareth is through theporchcommunity.net. There's a link there to our Ireland retreats. We're actually just posting the stuff about our retreats for next summer, which we um, often get to collaborate with featured guests. We've got some incredible people coming in uh, to travel with us in those next summer. And that's also available at irelandretreats.com. So those are probably the two best places to catch me. You can our church here, First Church Belfast. Uh, we post our sermons online and on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. If you want to hear more of kind of what we're doing and see some of what we're doing in this really incredible 400-year-old nearly 400-year-old congregation that I get to be with. So,
That's
um,
exciting. Oh, I'm going to
so
check that out. Well, thanks again, Brian, and thank you all for listening to Third Things First. I hope you found renewed hope with us that even in the midst of conflict, we can seek and find abundant life. Please visit our website, thewickedtruth.com, to join the conversation and to be in community with people like yourself seeking to change things for the better. Till next time, remember to always mourn the wicked. It's what good people do.